Bienvenidos a Caminos Culturales. Yo soy Jeannie Martinez. Este programa es dedicado a nuestra comunidad de habla hispana. En este programa exploraremos el arte, la poesía, la música, la historia de nuestra comunidad. Y ahora veamos lo siguiente. Bienvenidos and welcome to another one of your programs, Caminos Culturales, or Cultural Pathways. In this program, we're going to explore the importance and the cultural aspects of the church in New Mexico. As you know, or many of you know, for many years the church served as a community centers, a gathering place, a place where people would get baptized, get married, even funerals, and of course the fiestas. So the church had such a big role in our lives, and it's one of the topics that we're going to be exploring in this program with my guest in this program is Jeannie Martinez. Besides being an artist, she is also she's retired now, but she still does a lot of community activities and community service. Jeannie, welcome to Cultural Pathways.
Thank you, Chewy. Nice to be here.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm a native of the Mora area, and I grew up with 6 brothers, and I'm the oldest of the family. My parents were both teachers in that area, as well as they did some community service as well. So my dad was really involved with the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and so and my mom was a librarian in the Mora area. I went to college at New Mexico Highlands University, got a degree in home ec and business, and started work at New Mexico Highlands University as the secretary for the education department. After that, I ended up moving to a new position, which was the county home economist for New Mexico State University, but working in San Miguel and Mora counties. After that, I picked up a master's and continued my work with New Mexico State University. I was married to Gary McKinley. He and I both owned the Tykert's clothing store in Las Vegas, New Mexico for 25 years. I have one son. His name is David, and he lives here in Rio Rancho.
When did you started noticing that you could paint, that you could describe your ideas on canvas?
I was always attracted to beautiful things, beautiful pictures, flowers, clouds, that type of thing. But what happened was that I would sit in the office sometime and I would doodle, just draw faces and stuff like that. And my mother said to me one day, Jeannie, she said, what you ought to do is save those pieces because those are important. I told her, oh, Mom, it's just doodling. But as I was getting close to retirement in 2007, I thought, well, I better have something to do when I retire. So about 10 years before that, I ended up going to Taos. And this gentleman, Tito Mascareñas, encouraged me to come to his classes. So I started going to his classes in Taos twice a week after work. So I would leave work at 4 and be painting or discussing paints and stuff like that until I got myself really organized and knowing what the heck I was doing. Because at the time, I was just cold. I had not tried painting at all. And so once I started, I could not quit. And one of the things that I felt was important was that I paint the churches. So I started with some of that. And I think I've painted a total of 20 churches that I still have some with me.
You're mentioning to me that each one of those churches have a story, and I remember you mentioning especially the one in Chimayo, the El Santuario.
Okay.
If I can remember, you were saying how that came to be.
Well, I was always looking for a postcard or a picture of one of the churches because that's what I usually paint out of. I don't go sit out in the cool weather or the warm weather and paint. What I do is I'll take a picture, either a photograph, or I would find a card of Santuario. And the Santuario was really important to me because everybody would go to the Santuario as we were growing up, okay? So we would go visit, and I was always intrigued with the fact that the Santuario is a sacred place with the holy dirt. And I found out that there was a wooden cross on that hill where the Santuario now sits, and the Masantes found this cross and they kept looking at it and they'd remove it and put it away somewhere else, and the cross would come back to the location where the Santuario now is. So they decided that they had to build a shrine there for the cross coming back. So it was built by the penitentes. It's an adobe wall, thick adobe walls with 2 bell towers, and we have visitors from all over the world coming to visit this shrine on a regular basis. I don't know the number of people that come, but there are many. And during the trek that they take, this walk up there, I think there's thousands and thousands of people that go up there just to take that walk. And what they do is it's a sacrifice for their families or for themselves. It's a healing process as well.
Right.
It's a very peaceful time. I've done the walk, not all the way from Santa Fe as most people do, but I have done the walk from the Santa Cruz area to the Santuario. It's a beautiful walk. It's a peaceful walk, and you pray on your way up there. I use oils.
You prefer oils?
But what I do is I see a picture of or I see a church in the community that I really feel that I want to paint it. But there has to be a special angle to it. It's not always the front on angle, okay? I have to be kind of selective as to what's going on. The photograph or the painting that I have does not have any of those trees. Today it is foliage all over the place. But my particular painting is just very simple because that's the way it started out to be. Okay. Now what I put on is I'll do the sketch, and then, or actually I gotta go back. What I do is I put the acrylic oils over the sketch, and then I put the oils on top of that. So I paint twice. In other words, I paint with the acrylics and then I paint with the oils. What it does, it keeps the back part of the painting or the fabric kind of more concentrated, and you can't see through it. So it gives it a double siding of paints, and it's good because you don't see through it.
Yeah, so and there's different kinds of shades and things like that that you have to use. Because I notice, especially those buildings, historical buildings, like the churches, they have so many different dimensions, especially with the lighting, and if it's in the evening or in the morning, depending on which time of the day it is. So you consider some of those things in your paintings?
I do. What I do, according to how my instructor taught me, we do 3 different colors, okay, of the same on the same palette, but they're from a light to a medium to a dark. And so once I have that paint kind of set out, that's what I paint with. So the darker colors would be on the shaded side. The lighter colors would be on the sunny side. And then there would be that intermediate color that I would use. So always I use 3 different colors.
Wow. So yeah, there's I guess different styles of painting and other art forms. You mainly concentrate in painting the churches up north, right?
That's right.
So is there a particular place that you like, that you got inspired, that you had to go and do and paint it?
The one church that I have is that Santa Teresa's church in El Coyote, which is outside of Mora and into Gualupita area. And that particular church, it has Camposanto right there next to it. So it's inspiring to see how the people that lived in the area not only went to church there, but they also felt that they wanted to rest there. And so it's a private cemetery. I don't think too many people live, are buried there. But if you went to that church, that's where you wanted to be buried at.
Wow. Yeah, so many little different stories that each one of those places have. And that's what's so unique. It's not just the paintings or anything. I think I always think that the role of the artist is, it goes beyond just showing the good colors and the beautiful paintings and all that, but what you give back to the community. How sometimes when you see a painting, you get almost emotional because you have been there, or it takes you back.
It takes you
to
back.
a time when
The church in Chacon, which is Santo Niño Church, is in particular kind of a favorite of mine, because I had a friend who lived out there, and we never went to church there, but the church sits on top of this mountain, and if you'll see this one piece over here, it sits on top of the mountain, and the valley is just beautiful and green. Well, there was a lot of houses in the area, but they weren't down there on the valley. They were up in the little cañoncitos or cuevas or wherever they had them, But so when I painted San Antonio, the church, I wanted to make sure that there was a priest walking up into the church, because it was such a distance from all the other houses that were in the area.
Yeah. And as I understand, a lot of these places were also maintained by the penitents, so the people, the locals, people who attended the church, because there weren't that many priests.
That's right.
I understand it.
It was the parishioners of the area that actually took care of the churches. They did the cleaning, they did the altars, they did work for the priest, and that's how they got along. in order to keep those places going. A lot of these places are no longer being used as much, but they're still churches, and so the people in the community decide that they have to take care of them on their own volition.
Yeah, and then you have, like we were saying at the beginning, the been a gathering place like for fiestas where you see friends that you hadn't seen in a long time.
That's
and
right.
Even family members and just the new generations, the kids running around and people dancing. I mean, it like I said, it just goes beyond just a building. I think it's alive.
It's a feeling of my church, my people, our customs, our love of the actual churches itself. Yeah.
And did you travel to all these little communities to see those places?
I did. I took most of the pictures myself. The only one that I didn't take a picture of myself was the santuario. But the others, I took a picture of them, and I decided how I wanted that church to look. Yeah.
So besides, of course, using the pictures as a pattern, but do you also put your own imagination to
I
them?
do.
Like you were saying, like putting people and putting something that aside from just the building.
Well, you need, as an artist, I feel that I need to make it exciting or interesting for other people. If you just put a green grass down at the bottom and there's mountains forever going further out, it's not as exciting. But the community has to be involved in it, and so I always put a little house here or a little something or other, or the cemetery. I'll put the cemetery in there, and just an inspiration that hits me at the time.
So, aside from Catholic churches, there was also other different churches like the Presbyterians and the other ones, but they came later, no? Because the oldest churches, of course, were
the Catholic churches.
The Catholic churches.
Yes.
What do you think? Which one you think that you had visited or you had painted that's like one of the oldest that dates from
I believe
back in the 1800s, sometimes 1800s.
Well, the Nuestra Señora de Dolores, which is the Las Vegas church, that one was built in 1836. It's not the original one, but it's a similar to the original one. And people carried the rocks, the flagstone that it's built out of, for miles. They came out of Anton Chico with the rocks and with the process that they needed to build the churches with.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it has always been, well, in the past, of course, the church used to run the, all the governmental, almost the governmental programs and it was pretty tied up with the making decisions, and they have the same power as the government.
Yes,
as I understand.
Yes. The St. Joseph Church or San Jose de la Laguna, which is the Laguna Church, that particular church was built in 1697.
Wow.
So that's one of the older ones, and it was the materials for that were also hauled in from various locations on the backs of the Native American, because the Native Americans are the ones that built that church.
So there's also a lot of those churches at the different pueblos that
Yes.
are just beautiful buildings.
There's some here in the area that are magnificent. I haven't painted them, but the thought is always there that I'm going to get it done. I was going to tell you about the Salmon Ranch or San Rafael. That particular church was almost obscure. It had almost gone into disrepair until about 1996 or so. And then some company decided that they needed to get that church back into operation. And because I was going over to pick up raspberries, I saw that church and I thought, I need to paint this one. San Rafael is, an important saint. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, I need to share my painting of this one. And so that's another one of my favorite churches.
In New Mexico, because of the influence of the Catholic religion, they named a lot of these churches after saints. So each one of those pueblos or little villages had their patron saint.
Yes, they did.
And so that's how the fiestas, I guess, are based on.
Yes.
On the saint of San Rafael,
San Jose, San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it is very interesting because only in New Mexico the uniqueness of celebrations. There is such a variety.
There definitely is.
That
yes.
Everybody, that all the way from Raton to Las Cruces, have their different celebrations, and then there's hundreds or maybe even thousands because of a lot of the...
yeah. Every little community decided that they needed a church in their area.
Yeah, so it is very, very important that we acknowledge those things because, for a long time, this is... we all know that, it's certain, amount of our community go to church and go to this, and it's just like a tradition, but a lot of people don't know the depth and the insights of all this, why, or the history of why.
That's right.
And a lot of those churches, like I said at the beginning, have so much history, and of course, when people go to confession, all the things that they did when so all that history, all the secrets, all the stories are in those buildings.
Well, yes, because some of them actually painted some of the pieces that are in the church, or they put a crucifix up that was special to them. So those were basically all donated to the church through the community participants.
Right.
Yes.
And I heard also that the church will commission some pieces for the altars and for the stations of the cross and all that. So a lot of that was actually
donated,
done locally.
Yes, it was.
Because New Mexico was so far away from so many places that they have to create their own their own pieces or their own paintings of saints and do the woodwork.
That's right.
So it is fascinating, the history of the churches, and of course that is like aside from the religious part, because the artistic part, the people who gave life to all these paintings are community people that just got inspired like you.
And it's a way of maintaining what things used to look like, with all the brilliant and bright colors. It kind of shares with others that this is how beautiful this particular church or churches were. in their heyday. Because a lot of churches at this point are being abandoned, either because people are moving away from the communities or there's not enough people to take care of them. So painting them actually gives you a hope for the future that maybe someone will come back and take care of that beautiful church.
Yeah, and as I understand, the women took a big part of that. For example, el enjarre que le decían.
De veras.
You know, every year, like they would come and put another cover of
Plaster or mud plaster, I guess.
Mud plaster,
Mud plaster on it.
Because that's what it was used back then. And it's still a lot of the tradition continues in a lot of places.
Well, a lot of those churches are still plaster, that mud plaster. Yes. I don't know who's doing it today, but we've gotten a little lazy with our plastering of mud.
Well, you know, being involved in a Spanish market, I know there's people that are doing restoration.
Yes.
And they're doing it in the local tradition.
Wow.
They're still using the same materials, and like, for example, there was also some of them were made of adobe, but the other ones made of terron. You know, which is the terron that they extract from the river. Was also some of those churches. I know Charlie Carrillo used to talk about that, how the terron was a lot easier to access because it was from the river. So there's all the way from the building materials to decorating the landscaping, to the putting some of those churches that had towers were like very special.
Yes.
You know? And the bells, because the bells were very scarce as well.
There were some very talented people that put those pieces together. And thank goodness for them, because we have this beautiful churches in our communities.
Yeah, and I'm amazed sometimes with like the vigas. They will carry those vigas from far away.
Far away.
Yeah.
I know that in one particular church, they carried the vigas at 30 miles to get them to put them up on the roof or on the ceilings the way they used to do it.
Wow.
And that's a lot.
So what's the message that you would give to new artists to get their inspiration? Of course, it's your upbringing, your background. Besides churches, you paint other things, some landscaping.
I do.
And, pueblos.
Pueblos, I painted a lot of pueblos, and they are the most difficult to paint. Because of the angles and the structures of them, but they are probably the ones that come out the most beautiful.
There's times when you get inspired more than others.
Yes, you actually have to be in a special mood to paint. You can't just sit down and paint. Your lifestyle and your emotions and your feelings of that particular time have to be in sync with your paintings. Painting is very, if you're into it and get into it, it's like you're mesmerized. I guess that would be the word that I would use, because all of a sudden you're so involved in this painting, there's nothing else around you.
Even the different like historical documents that document everything from the Camino Real all the way from Mexico to Santa Fe.
And you know that St. Francis of Assisi has been a very inspirational piece for many artists. There's everybody wants to paint that particular church because of the way that church looks from the back. It's two big buttresses and then the steeple in the middle. And that church was built in 1772.
Wow. So this is the one in Taos,
This
right?
is the one in Taos. Yeah.
Ranchos de Taos.
Ranchos de Taos. And anyone that has an inspiration to try painting is really encouraged to do what they feel they can do. It may not be the best painting to start off with, but at the end, after working a little bit, you end up doing something beautiful.
My name is Jeannie Martinez, and this is Caminos Culturales.